And the idea that there's not AC, there's not fans in these trucks because it costs money. And UPS doesn't want to spend money, even if it would mean the health and safety of their package deliverers. Because every dollar spent towards your safety is a dollar coming out of their profits. So the Teamsters in their UPS negotiation have come to an agreement. This happened last week. I think it was Friday, right? Yeah. Reached an agreement Friday. I like the agreement. It looks good. Let's go take a look, shall we? Watch, actually. Yeah, let's watch this first, actually.
UPS averting a strike by the Teamsters union this week. News of the deal lifting weight off the shipping giant ahead of its second quarter earnings report on August 8th. But investors may have some concerns about the rising costs for Big Brown. Teamsters saying that it was a $30 billion deal. Joining us now for more, we want to bring in Donald Broughton. He's a principal and managing partner at Broughton Capital. Donald, it's great to have you here. So I believe you expected the Teamsters to strike, but they didn't. Why were you a little bit surprised by this deal?
Well, we thought that what was happening was that Sean O'Brien was positioning himself to have some theater, to have some marketing about what he...
Actually, now go back. I want just a normal... This is longer than I wanted. Oh, no, not that one. Okay, cool. It didn't click it. Is this the one I want? Yes, let's do it.
This hour, UPS and the Teamsters Union have reached an agreement to avoid a historic strike.
The two sides agreeing to a new 5-year deal after weeks of negotiations. More than 300,000 employees from the package delivery giant were preparing to walk off the job a week from today. Let's get right to NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett. Maura, what do we know about this deal? Walk us through.
Yeah, guys, this is after more than a month of negotiations, and the two groups
Wow,
hit
it's
a
only
sticking
last
point,
nice.
mostly over part-time worker pay. There was a lot that was included in this deal, and I want to remind you that right now this is just a tentative deal that needs to be voted on by union members at the end of the month. But the big win is that they did get a pay increase for these part-time workers. Some people are making as low as $15.50 an hour. They will be bumped up immediately to $21 an hour or more, and then there's also promises to make an increase of pay over this 5-year contract. They've also promised to put air conditioners and fans in those iconic brown UPS delivery.
Now, I want you to think about that for a minute. The idea that we've had some pretty distressingly hot days in the US recently. And the idea that there's not AC, there's not fans in these trucks. These are things that like you want to know why they had to negotiate fans and AC put into their trucks? Because it costs money. And UPS doesn't want to spend money, even if it would mean the health and safety of their package deliverers. Like, whatever you think of UPS as a business, there's a reason why they, like when you hear some of the negotiating terms, you think to yourself, wait, they had to negotiate that? Like, you had to demand in your demands, you had to have in there in your negotiations that like, hey, we need fans, we need AC for our drivers as they, since they're outside driving all day and everything else. Like, that's a thing that UPS was like, okay, fine, we'll spend the money to put that stuff in. Like, and it's just the lengths any company, and this includes whoever you work for, by the way, whoever you work for, this includes them too. Whatever thing it is that would make your life, your work more tolerable, more sustainable, more survivable. And I don't mean sustainable in like energy wise. I mean sustainable for yourself. Whether it be AC, whether it be fans, whether it be safety equipment, whatever. Understand that every company is not looking to buy any of that shit. None of them want to spend money on your safety, because every dollar spent towards your safety is a dollar coming out of their profits. And it takes unions and it takes organized labor to secure these sorts of things. Because at the end of the day, the profit margin is what is at the heart of UPS. Not to offer job opportunities, not to deliver packages the best way. Nope. Somebody realized that they could deliver packages faster or in competition with USPS if they cut a few corners, and if they if they did enough things, they could turn a profit on that, and they did successfully. And they made sure that that profit was as high as possible every single year, at the expense of their workers' safety, their rights, their health, their wages, all of it. They will always put their bottom line in front of your entire life, every aspect of it. Because there is no motivating factor outside of the profit margin.
Delivery trucks to help out workers in these record-breaking heat situations, and there's some other little nuggets buried in there that really do emphasize worker protections. And so both sides, the UPS and the union, are really celebrating this deal, and obviously avoids that potential strike that we were all waiting to see how that would play out. And obviously that would have been one of the costliest strikes in U.S. history.
Yeah, big developments on a strike that a lot of people were watching out for. Maura Barrett, thank you.
All right. So, let's see, what do we got? UPS union negotiated historic contract. Now workers have the final say. All right. Morris, part-time warehouse worker, spends his 3.5-hour shift loading heavy items, bed frames, car tires, air conditioning units on trucks for delivering across New York City. He's typically expected to load a minimum of 4 trucks with 300 packages each. My hands hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, and we only have a 10-minute break. Morris earned $16.60 per hour, up from $15.50 when he was hired last year. On July 25th, the Teamsters Union reached a tentative contract agreement with UPS securing wage increases for the 340,000 workers it represents, and narrowly averted a nationwide strike after weeks of stalled negotiations. Teamsters leadership had threatened a disruptive walkout if the company failed to meet their economic demands. Rank and file union members are casting their ballots until aren't casting their ballots until August 22nd. For the deal to go into effect, it needs to pass by a majority vote. While Teamsters leadership is boasting the historic gains, Morris isn't convinced the deal does enough to fairly compensate and protect UPS employees, especially part-timers who make up the majority of the company's unionized workforce, and those strenuous work and work the delivery giant relies on. Under the 5-year agreement, wages for existing part-timers would be raised to no less than $21 per hour. The subsequent increases over the course of the contract. Let's see. The contract has a lot of gains. There are many positive things we obtained because of the strike threat, but then $21 an hour is below our expectation. Morris said he's voting against the deal, not because it isn't a step forward for workers, but because he thinks the union could leverage its momentum to fight for more. Jose Francisco Negrit, a part-time package handler in Anaheim, California, is also voting no on the deal. He said he was, quote, discombobulated when he saw the economic provisions of the tentative agreement. I wanted UPS to acknowledge what we gave the UPS during the pandemic, especially the lockdown. Nowhere in the contract does it reflect what we gave UPS during that time. Let's see. Union says deal raises the bar for all workers. This year, UPS workers have more power to reject the deal than in previous contract votes. That's because Teamsters General President Sean O'Brien, who took the helm of the union in 2021, pushed for a change to the union constitution that allows workers to vote down a deal with a simple majority. Previously, 2/3 of the workers needed to vote down a contract in order to override Teamsters leadership if turnout was below 50%. Former Teamsters leader James Hoffa, for example, ratified the 2018 contract despite 54% of the workers voting against it. Teamsters leadership is urging workers to approve the deal. The union's social media channels are filled with video testimonials of workers who say they're voting in favor of it. Along with wage increases, UPS agreed to equip new delivery vehicles with air conditioning and forced overtime with air conditioning and force overtime and eliminate a 2-tier pay system for delivery drivers, among other concessions. This is the most lucrative contract in labor history, O'Brien said during a webinar for union members, referring to the $30 billion in new money in the agreement. We got more money, higher wages than ever before, huge non-economic gains. Local Teamsters chapters across the U.S. voted nearly unanimously to endorse the contract, O'Brien said. O'Brien said it, quote, sets the tone for the entire labor movement. A Teamster spokesperson said workers gain more in this tentative agreement than over the last 40 years. Part-time wage growth from 1982 to 2022 was $7.25 an hour. Over the course of this of the new 5-year agreement, it would amount to $7.50 an hour. UPS CEO Carol Tomé also called the deal, quote, a, quote, win-win-win agreement for Teamsters, leadership, and employees and the company. They're obviously full of shit. This agreement continues to reward, because at the end of the day, they don't want a win-win-win. They want a win. That's it. They just want a single win, and it's for management. This agreement continues to reward UPS's full and part-time employees with industry-leading pay and benefits while retaining the flexibility we need to stay competitive, serve our customers, and keep our business strong. During an earnings call on August 8th, UPS said its revenue for the most recent fiscal quarter fell short of expectations as delivery volume dropped during labor negotiations. UPS also lowered projected 2023 revenue due to the cost of the contract, which is the largest private sector bargaining agreement in North America. A strike among 340,000 UPS workers could disrupt package deliveries across the country and shake up an increasingly competitive package delivery market. President Biden praised Teamsters and UPS for avoiding the widespread ramifications of a shutdown. If workers vote down the tentative agreement, they could force the Teamsters negotiating committee to reopen talks with the company and bring back the threat of a strike. A range of opinions among workers. Let's see. UPS workers have a range of views on the deal hammered out by the union. Christina Paxson, a part-time package handler in Reno, Nevada, said she's content with the hourly pay raise she would see, $23.20, up from her current rate of $19. Jeez. $19 up to $23. That's a good fucking raise right there. I saw enough movement in the contract to get us in the spot where I don't have to have a reason to vote no. Our last contract really took us backwards, so for us to make progress is huge for us. But some employees are pointing to the company's recent economic gains as evidence that it can afford to raise starting wages more. UPS posted a record profit last year as the company reached $100 billion in revenue in 2022 for the first time. Jennifer Hancock, a part-time package sorter, has worked at UPS for more than 3 decades. She's an organizer with Teamsters Mobilize, an employee group that aims to level the playing field for part-time workers. Hancock said she thinks the economic elements of the deal could go further, like establishing a $25 base rate for part-timers. That'd be fucking huge. 25 as a base rate? But the fact that O'Brien has challenged the Teamster status quo and pushed UPS to make concessions, Hancock added, has empowered workers to voice this kind of dissent. The election of Sean O'Brien really motivated people to think that they could make a difference. That we have a new contract coming up, we have a new president, and let's try some new things. That was a signal that times had changed. So, I mean, look, guys, leadership fucking matters. It matters a lot more than I think people give it credit for. At the end of the day, what's the word I'm looking for? At the end of the day, you're not seeing, Biden touts himself a lot as a pro-labor president. And, Biden's labor bona fides are not perfectly clean, but not awful either. But this is what real leadership looks like. At the end of the day, the way in which we interact with the economy and we interact with the broader I think what's the word I'm looking for, like the broader workforce is collectively the way that workers get what they need is, since individual workers don't have mass sums of money They don't have influence with politicians or legislatures. They don't have access to these kinds of levers of power. What they do have is people. What workers have are people, and a damn lot of them. And at the end of the day, you know, what's the word I'm looking, what's the phrase I'm looking for, I guess. The only way that workers are going to get what they need is through organizing and through collective bargaining. It is the way historically it's worked in this country. It is the way it will probably always kind of work in this country, because through, you know, if you have a lack of funds, if you have a lack of capital power, but you have a lot of populist power, that's really the only way that you're going to be able to flex those muscles, and the only way you're going to be able to really address those kinds of issues. So, you know, this is incredibly important. You know, really happy to see it. I'm happy to see, you know, these kinds of labor actions, because, and they said it in that article, you know, the amount of progress they're going to make in 5 years is going to outpace the amount of work and the amount of progress that they made in the last 40 years. And that just tells you, it shows you in stark contrast what labor action can get you, what it can net you in, you know, in benefits. You know, at the end of the day, the people who hold power, people who own capital, have an ability to shape society, shape the relationship that they have with you, based on, you know, based on their wealth. And the only way you get ahead of that is with people. So, you know, this is, and not only that, but you know, more unionization, more people coming together as workers in the working class coming together, is going to create also voting solidarity. You're going to see these. I think what you end up seeing a lot of times, is when, as labor representation has gone down, we've seen this kind of divide happen in the U.S. Right? We've seen this divide, this polarization between people of, you know, left of center or right of center political views. And I think unions, better than maybe anything else, are really able to cut through that polarization and bring people together under their class issues, under their, you know, class goals, which really is most of the time just to live a pretty average life. I don't think most people want to be millionaires. I think most people just want to be able to live comfortably, you know, in the neighborhoods that they're in. But either way, solidarity, love to see it. You know the thing that they tell, you know, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to like click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.